Hi, my name is Paddy Hirsch. I'm a senior editor at Marketplace. Today I want to talk about the repo market. Firstly, because the government's considering making some changes to the way the repo market works, or certain parts of it. And secondly, because a lot of people don't understand how the repo market works or why it's so important. So let's see if we can explain it. Here we go. Repo does not stand for repossession. It actually stands for repurchase, and that'll become clear why in a second. Now, the repo market is the place where banks who need money go to get money, or at least it's one of the places. There are several like commercial paper market, but the repo market is a very popular one because money in it is cheap. Now, most repo loans are made overnight. And when I say loans, they're kind of like loans with a twist, which I'll explain in a second. Now, most of these loans are made overnight. Longer term loans are called term repos, but we're not going to deal with those right now. We'll just deal with the overnight loans. So who uses it and how does it work? Well, let's take an analogy. Let's use a borrower. We'll call him Sam. Here he is. Now, Sam has got a truck that is empty of all gas, and he needs to fill it because he needs to get to work. He's got a problem because he's absolutely skinned. He's got no cash. His credit card is drained. He's got no money at all. And in order to get money at work, he needs to be able to get to work, so he needs to be able to get money, a short-term loan to fill his car up to get himself to work. So he gets in his Rolodex and he calls around and sees who he can find, and he manages to find Amy. Amy's a nice girl. She's got a pot of cash, and she is willing to lend, or she's willing to hand over $100 to Sam. But there's a condition. She wants collateral. Now, most loans obviously have collateral, but in the repo market, in this system, the collateral is used somewhat differently. So Amy goes to Sam's place, looks around and says, what have you got that I can use as collateral? Sees a box of AC/DC records, okay? All the vinyl up till 1990. She says, I'll be able to sell this for $100 if it all goes wrong, so we'll use this. So here we are, this box of AC/DC records. Okay. She says, okay, Sam, what I want you to do is I want you to sell me. Okay, I want you to sell me those records. So Sam is actually selling the records for $100. So Amy hands over $100. Sam hands over the AC/DC records, and Amy now owns those records. Now, in this deal, two things are happening. Firstly, Amy is taking possession, okay, legal possession of the collateral, if you like. And secondly, she is saying that part of the agreement is that Sam will repurchase these records, repurchase the collateral the next day, hence the repo loan. So it's kind of like a loan, okay, but it's also not a loan because she's actually bought it. It's a transaction. So, but he is agreeing to repurchase this the next day. And in exchange for setting up this agreement, Amy wants a fee, usually a very small fee, say, call it $1. So he hands over the records, she hands over $100, Sam goes to work, he works hard, he gets all his tips, makes lots of money, comes back the next day, and what does he do? He repurchases his AC/DC records. So they go back, and Sam hands over $101. Okay, there we are. Everyone's happy. And that is the essence of the repo market. That's the essence of the repo loan. Okay, so who are these people in the real world, and how does this work? Well, the borrower is a bank that needs money quickly. If you think about an investment bank doesn't do what a commercial bank does, which is, take deposits and make loans. It does investment banking business, which is, it puts together bond deals and does M&A deals and this kind of stuff. So it makes lots of money, but it doesn't do it in the way a commercial bank does. And sometimes in fact, always it needs money to fund its operations before that other money comes in to pay these loans back. So what it does, it gets overnight money from the repo market. So it goes out and it looks for a commercial bank who's got lots of money lying around, presumably because they're taking deposits and making loans like regular banks do, and the commercial bank can lend that money out or can put that money into the repo system. Now, when a commercial bank, so what about these AC/DC records, this collateral? Well, usually it's securities, and usually it's the safest type of securities because obviously the commercial bank who's doing this lending, who's getting involved in this deal, wants to make sure that it's got something that it can sell easily. And treasury securities are very liquid and very safe. So that's used to be the central part of the central demand for collateral in the repo market. But recently, banks have started to use more and more other types of securities. And in the bad old days, before the crash happened, a lot of those securities were asset-backed securities and mortgage-backed securities, and CDOs. And the quality of these securities got more and more risky. More about that in a second. Okay, so that's the essential way this works. It's an investment bank or a bank that needs overnight money in order to fund its operations, goes to a bank that's got some money lying around, surrenders some collateral, and they get involved in this deal. Okay, that's the basic market. Now, the government's worried about another type of repo, which is called a tri-party repo. Tri-party because three people are involved. Okay. You've got the You've got the borrower, you've got the lender, and the third party is an intermediary, which is called a clearing bank. Okay, the clearing bank. So in this situation, we'll call our clearing bank our intermediary. We'll call him Jim. All right, there he is. There's dark glasses there. Anyway, Jim is the intermediary. So why would you want to use an intermediary? Well, if you're a commercial bank, it's kind of a pain, to put this whole deal together. You've got to decide what the collateral is going to be. You've got to work out the deals of the loan. You've got to determine, the creditworthiness of the borrower, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of these people use these clearing banks, these intermediaries, to make the deal go more easily. Obviously, the clearing bank takes up a little fee, and so lops off the lender's fee slightly, but they use it because it's convenient. Now in the US, the clearing banks, the two big clearing banks are JP Morgan and Bank of New York Mellon. They're the two biggest ones, and they do the majority of the business. But those banks sound like regular banks, right? They do have regular banking business, and the government is worried that they, because the other banks on either side of this trade are competitors, and therefore there's a conflict of interest there. And they might demand too much collateral, or they might hurt one of their competitors by putting onerous demands on them. So the government is only considering replacing the clearing bank system with a kind of a government utility, if you like, a utility bank that would be a government entity. So there's some talk about that, and that's why that's the reason for that conversation, is because of that conflict of interest. So what can go wrong in this system? And why is it so? Why are we hearing so much about it right now? And why is the government considering these changes or focusing on it? Well, the reason is because of Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers. These are two investment banks that needed this money desperately to fund their operations. Every night they needed this money to keep themselves moving. And in fact, investment banks still need this short-term money to operate. And their survival depended on their reputation. Because if you don't have a good reputation, nobody's going to lend to you, right? So people were looking at Bear Stearns and looking at Lehman Brothers, and they were saying, hang on a second, firstly, what's this collateral that you're surrendering? All these mortgage-backed securities, all these CDOs. Not sure we like the look of that. And then we look at you and we think, but if that's the collateral you're surrendering, or if that's the collateral you're using, what does that say about the state of your own ability to operate? So firstly, am I going to accept this collateral because I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell it, given the fact that it's plunging in the market right now? And secondly, I'm not even sure that you're going to be able to be, because of the type of businesses that you're investing in, I'm not sure you're going to be good for the money the next day. So suddenly all these banks started to back away from Bear Stearns, and eventually Lehman Brothers as well. They stepped back. And what does that do to you? If you're an investment bank and you need that money to operate overnight, well, if more and more people back away, suddenly there's nobody on the other side of this trade. You're stuck with money owed. You've got to pay people. You've got to operate, but nobody's going to lend to you overnight. Well, that is going to leave you very badly, needing a drink.